This princess, who marries a prince from a wealthier royal family, later discovers that her marriage is a trap, as the royal family sacrifices her to a dragon to fulfill a century-long ritual rite. Hey guys, welcome back to I Am Movies. Today we're looking into the 2024 American dark fantasy film called Damsel. But before we jump into the details, be aware there are spoilers. Now let's get right into it. The movie begins when a king and some of his finest soldiers ride into a cave to face a vicious dragon. However, the king soon realizes that the dragon is no match for him after watching it effortlessly kill and burn his finest soldiers alive. Centuries later, a poor northern kingdom ruled by a man named Lord Bayford gets visited by a red priestess from the kingdom of Oria, asking to marry Lord Bayford's eldest daughter Elodie to the Prince of Oria. Elodie and her younger sister Floria are the only two daughters of Lord Bayford and his late wife. However, the girls were raised by their stepmother after the passing of their mother. Upon realizing how rich the kingdom of Oria is, Lord Bayford quickly agrees to the proposal. Feeling uninterested, Elodie protests the wedding arrangement, but Lord Bayford convinces her to accept it, stating how the gold and riches he'll get in return would help save his kingdom from their current predicament. Soon Lord Bayford sets sail with his family to the kingdom of Oria. Upon arrival, they are received by the palace chiefs, who warmly show them to their room. The next day, Elodie and her family finally meet the ruler of Oria, Queen Isabel, and her son, Prince Henry. Shortly after, Queen Isabel goes into a private meeting with Lord Bayford to discuss the conditions of the marriage, while Prince Henry shows Elodie around the kingdom. Although Elodie and Prince Henry initially seem uninterested in each other, however, they soon begin to bond as they both discuss their dreams for adventure, stating how they'd love to travel the world. Meanwhile, as soon as Lord Bayford's meeting with Queen Isabel ends, he steps out with a sad countenance, showing that the conditions they discussed are not favorable. However, Lady Bayford notices this and tries to ask him about it, but he shuns her. With this, Lady Bayford, feeling concerned for Elodie, decides to become acquainted with Queen Isabel, as she attempts to know more about the royal family values. However, Queen Isabel harshly talks down on Lady Bayford, reminding her of her humble beginnings as the daughter of a rope seller. With this, Lady Bayford tries to convince Elodie not to go through with the marriage, stating that she feels something is not right about the whole marriage arrangement. Soon, Lord Bayford interrupts them and they end the conversation. The next day, Elodie gets prepped for the marriage ceremony, and she soon gets wedded to Prince Henry. Afterward, Elodie bids her family farewell, as they prepare to go back to the north. Subsequently, Prince Henry and Princess Elodie ride to a mountainside to complete a supposed final rite. On their way, Elodie asks Prince Henry where they are headed, and he reveals to her that they are going to perform an ancient ceremony to pay homage to his ancestors. As soon as they get to the ceremony, Elodie is welcomed by Queen Isabel, who also appears to be the chief priestess. Queen Isabel hands Elodie a golden coin, and soon begins to reveal the reason behind the ritual. The queen tells Elodie how her ancestors first laid claim to the land of Oria, and how the king at the time fought against a dragon that attacked their villages. She further reveals that the king's warriors were all killed by the vicious dragon, and that the king had to sacrifice his 3 beloved daughters to pacify the beast. Afterward, the queen cuts the couple's hands, and they soon make contact with both hands, indicating a mix of blood between Prince Henry and Elodie. Subsequently, Elodie is asked to toss her coin in the chasm, and Prince Henry carries her in his hands as they set to return. However, Prince Henry softly apologizes to Elodie, and he immediately throws her into the chasm, offering her as a sacrifice. As Elodie recovers from the fall, she finds herself in a dark cave and soon begins calling for help. Shortly after, she pulls off her wedding necklace and angrily throws it away. However, she suddenly notices that there are several other necklaces on the floor, indicating that she's not the first to have been thrown down there as a sacrifice. Shortly after, Elodie sees a small fire cackling from a distance, and she goes to check it out, only to see a bird getting burnt. Elodie tries to save the little bird, but it is too late. Moments later, a flock of burning birds rush into the cave, and Elodie soon realizes that something deadly must be in the cave. With this, Elodie prays to her mother for strength, but the dragon replies to her, prompting her to hide from its sight. Afterward, the dragon asks Elodie for her name, and in turn, Elodie asks it what it wants. The dragon reveals to Elodie that it wants what it's been owed, stating that in every generation, 3 princesses of Orian royal blood must be sacrificed to him. The dragon reveals that it can smell the scent of Orian royalty in Elodie's blood. Soon, the dragon asks Elodie to run as it begins to hunt her like a game, spitting out fire in an attempt to burn her. However, Elodie manages to escape into a swirling tunnel where she spots a fresh dead body. As the dragon continues to hunt for her, she squeezes herself into a small tunnel in an attempt to escape its fire. Elodie gets burnt on her leg, but she manages to escape into a smaller space. Afterward, Elodie pulls out a blunt knife from her dress and uses it to cut a piece of her dress to cover her wound. Seeing that the dragon had left, Elodie lit a fire from a trinket attached to her dress, using its light to navigate her way through the tunnels. While crawling through a tight tunnel, Elodie slips and subsequently falls into a part of the cave that has a dead end, causing her light to go off. However, Elodie manages to get to the other side of the cave, which is filled with glowworms. Subsequently, she uses part of her dress to gently collect some of the glowworms, using them to light her path through the tunnel. Afterward, Elodie finds a water source and she soon begins to drink water droplets from it. However, the dragon soon appears from above, spitting fire towards her. Elodie manages to escape into another tunnel where she sees a writing that reads, "Safe here, she cannot reach," from a girl named V. The dragon soon begins to mock Elodie, telling her that no matter how much she tries to hide, it always wins in the end. Subsequently, Elodie sees a long list of the names of girls who have been sacrificed in the past alongside their wedding dresses. With this, Elodie begins to panic, wondering if anyone managed to make it out alive. Afterward, Elodie becomes tired and soon falls asleep. In her dreams, she sees the ghosts of some of the princesses who have been sacrificed in the cave. However, Elodie soon realizes that the glowworms have healing power, seeing that they have healed her wounds. Subsequently, Elodie sees a map that had been drawn by previous victims and she begins to read it. On the map, Elodie realizes that there is a way out of the cave as directed by a girl named Victoria. Determined to escape, Elodie writes her name on the list of victims, strips off excess parts of her gown, and prepares to take the escape route. After walking through dark tunnels, Elodie comes across a high vertical crystal drop on the mountainside, which she believes leads out of the cave. Subsequently, Elodie protects her leg and hands and arms herself with Victoria's crown as she begins to climb to the top. Halfway, Elodie sees that the dragon has now opened its mouth, waiting to swallow her up once she falls. However, she manages to get to the top. Sadly, Elodie soon realizes that the journey she just made was a futile one, as it doesn't lead anywhere out of the mountain. At this point, Elodie begins to cry, losing hope of ever escaping from the mountain. However, Elodie soon spots some men with horses from afar, and she begins to call out to them for help. Moments later, the dragon attacks her from outside the cave. Here the dragon tells Elodie, 3 were taken and 3 must be given. At this point, the dragon attempts to finish Elodie off, but it gets distracted by a voice calling out to Elodie, and it decides to go check it out. Elodie soon realizes that her father has come to rescue her, as she recognizes his voice from the calls. With this, Elodie decides to go back to the cave. On her way, she comes across the remains of 3 dragon hatchlings. With this, the dragon saying, 3 taken, 3 must be given, soon becomes clear to her. It appears that the king who attacked the dragon with his soldiers centuries ago had killed the dragon's 3 hatchlings unprovoked, prompting the dragon to attack them. However, the dragon decided to spare the king, who made a promise to sacrifice 3 princesses from his lineage in every generation in exchange for peace. At the same time, Lord Bayford arrives with a guide and 2 warriors to help him search for his daughter. However, as soon as the dragon arrives, it kills the 2 warriors and confronts Lord Bayford, asking him why he'd come. Lord Bayford reveals that he came for his daughter, Elodie. Upon hearing this, the dragon decides to hold Lord Bayford's hostage, requesting that he call out to Elodie. Meanwhile, Elodie watches from her hiding spot as her father. Lord Bayford uses the opportunity to apologize to her for sacrificing her, stating how much he loves her and asking for her forgiveness. He further warns her not to come out from her hiding spot, even as the dragon attempts to crush him. The dragon soon hears Elodie scream, and it begins to carefully sniff around for her scent. At the same time, the tour guide who has been hiding deep inside the cave attempts to run away, and the dragon's attention gets drawn to him. Elodie approaches her father, and he once again asks for her forgiveness before dying. Subsequently, the dragon crushes the guide to death, and quickly launches an attack on Elodie, who manages to escape the cave using a rope. Outside, Elodie mounts her father's horse in an attempt to escape. However, realizing that the dragon will catch up with her, she quickly gets down and hides herself. After searching for Elodie without any success, the dragon begins to burn the sky in anger. Queen Isabel sees this and quickly realizes that Elodie must have escaped the dragon's snare. With this, the queen uses her soldiers to forcefully kidnap Floria from Lady Bayford, who subsequently gets stabbed as she tries to protect her stepdaughter. Moments later, Lady Bayford manages to meet Elodie at the foot of the mountain. Here she reveals that the queen had taken Floria as a sacrifice. Elodie promises to save Floria by helping the dragon know the truth. At the same time, Queen Isabel drags Floria to the sacrifice point and performs the ritual by herself, as Prince Henry refuses to participate. Afterward, the dragon keeps Floria alive as it awaits Elodie's return, knowing well that she'll be back. On getting back inside the cave, Elodie sets up a trap using breastplates and helmets to create a diversion that will distract the dragon as she attempts to reach Floria. Just as she had planned, the trap falls, and the dragon quickly follows the sound, but the dragon soon realizes that it has been tricked. Meanwhile, Elodie tells Floria to hide herself, as she attempts to confront the dragon and reveal the truth. As soon as the dragon returns, Elodie threatens to stab its eyes with her father's sword, while revealing to the dragon that all the princesses it has ever killed were never related to the Arayan royal family. However, the dragon refuses to believe. Shortly after, the dragon attacks Elodie, but she manages to push the sword through its mouth before falling into a pool of water, further provoking the beast. The dragon soon traps Elodie as it begins to punish her by piercing her side with its claws. However, Elodie manages to escape by stabbing the dragon in its eyes. After fighting Elodie for a while, the dragon sustains a lot of injuries and soon begins to get weak. Soon Elodie discovers a secret weapon as she attempts to use the wind to her advantage. She provokes the dragon to burn her, but it ends up burning itself. With this, the dragon begins to die slowly, and Elodie finally explains how the Orien royal turned innocent girls into royals in order to sacrifice them. The dragon begs Elodie to end its life, but Elodie chooses to let it live by using the glowworms to help the dragon heal. Afterward, Elodie appears at Prince Henry's third wedding to another princess who is also being prepped for the sacrifice. Elodie confronts the royal family, exposing their true intentions to the new bride, and subsequently advises her to leave with her family. However, as the queen attempts to confront Elodie, the dragon appears and it swiftly takes revenge by burning the Orien royals and their nobles with their fancy palace. In the end, the dragon becomes friends with Elodie, flying over her as she sails home with her family loaded with enough riches and supplies. If you'd like to see us recap any other movies or topics you have in mind, just drop a comment and let us know. And don't forget to hit the like button, share this recap, and subscribe to stay updated for the next one. Until next time.